All right, I see myself and Graham on the meetups, but no slides yet, Johnny.
What's that? What's that, Michael?
I said that I see myself and Graham on the meetup, but no slide yet.
So you don't see the slides on the screen now?
Not on the meetups. Not on the meetup link. On the Zoom link, yeah, sure. But I'm just also got on a second machine running the live stream on the meetup, and there's nothing showing up there.
On the meetup? Sorry, I'm
so there's a meetup link in the slide, in the invitation, and I see that there's 4 people in the meetup. So is this only being streamed on YouTube, or is it also being streamed to the meetup?
The meetup is like some legacy thing, I think. It's YouTube and live peer that's being live streamed too.
Yep. And I think we're about ready to go. If everyone's here, I can kick things off. Cool. Are we ready to go, Oscar? I think I can kick it off.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, awesome. So Nabil and Andy
wait,
are not.
Someone says, sorry, someone says wait.
Okay. Should give people a few minutes here.
Continue.
You cannot hear me?
No, sorry, I'm in the chat.
Okay.
Can you, what happens if you unmute yourself? Are you a panelist? I don't understand why Yuri shows up as status.im. I thought that was you, Johnny.
Yeah, I think it is me. Just let me know when, Oscar, and I think we can get started.
I don't know, should we go? And maybe, because it seems like maybe it's a local problem,
Okay.
West Kisner weekend.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone to Town Hall number 16. Nabil and Andy are not with us today. Andy is traveling back from India, and Nabil is out on holiday. So thanks to everyone, first of all, who just jumped in and made this happen. Really appreciate it. So we'll get started. Oscar, do you want to kick off with the, actually, before we jump into the principles, I just want to say thanks to Rafi and the LivePeer team, because we are now streaming this on LivePeer. And you can check that out at crypto.livepeer.tv. And we've got this time slot blocked off moving forward. So all of our town halls will be streamed on LivePeer now as well. So Oscar, if you want to kick off the principles, here you go.
Sure. You can go to next slide, I think.
Oh, well, there's the LivePeer link.
One more. All right, cool. So for those of you who tuned into the last town hall, we've been doing sort of principal work, and it's been a work in progress. And last few weeks, there's been a sort of soft signaling step where there's been lots of discussion, and we've sort of reached a point where it seems like this is roughly what everyone agrees with, and no one has sort of raised any major concerns. So we've started cryptographically signing off the principles from all core contributors. And this is also something that we invite people in the large community to do. And we'll see exactly how this will play into the DAO and the structures we create around that. But right now, the focus is on core contributors signing this cryptographically. And before talking a bit more about that, I just want to go through the principles, because I think maybe not everyone has read them, and especially people who are tuning in on LivePeer or YouTube. So next slide. So the goal of Status is widespread adoption of the decentralized web. And our challenge is achieving mass adoption while staying true to our principles outlined below. These are 10 principles. So the first one is liberty. We believe in the sovereignty of individuals. As a platform that stands for the cause of personal liberty, we aim to maximize social, political, and economic freedoms. This includes being coercion resistant. Censorship resistance. We enable free flow of information. No content is under surveillance. And we abide by the crypto-economic design principle of censorship resistance. Even stronger, Status is an agnostic platform for information. Security. We don't compromise on security when building features. We use state-of-the-art technologies and research new security methods and technologies to make strong security guarantees. Privacy. Privacy is the power to selectively reveal oneself to the world. For us, it's essential to protect privacy in both communications and transactions, as well as being a pseudo-anonymous platform. Additionally, we strive to provide a right of total anonymity. Transparency. We strive for complete openness and symmetry of information within the organization and have no border between our core contributors and our community. We're frank about our shortcomings, especially when making short-term trade-offs in service of our long-term goals. Openness. The software we create is a public good. It's made available via free and open source license for anyone to share, modify, and benefit from. We believe in permissionless participation. Decentralization. We minimize centralization across both the software and the organization itself. In other words, we maximize the number of physical computers composing the network and maximize the number of individuals who have control over the system we're building. Inclusivity. We believe in fair and widespread access to our software with an emphasis on ease of use. This also extends to social inclusivity, permissionless participation, interoperability, and investing in educational efforts. Continuance. We create software incentivized to continue to exist and improve without the stewardship of a single entity or any of the current team members. Resourcefulness. We are relentlessly resourceful. As we grow and have ready access to capital, it is our obligation to token holders to fight bureaucracy and inefficiencies within the organization. This means solving problems in the most effective way possible at lower economic costs in terms of capital, time, and resources. So obviously unpacking all those principles and their implications and all of these kinds of things that will take a lot longer than this 5 to 10 minutes. And there's a live annotated version of these principles that I encourage everyone to contribute to and sort of their own sort of interpretation or view of these things or how we apply them. I guess the most important part is that all as co-contributors, we should sign these principles, or if there are strong objections, then ideally they should be made already, but if there are still strong objections, they should probably be made, I don't know, in discuss thread or something like this. But so far we've seen about 30, 35 people sign these principles. And if you check the discuss thread, you can see instructions exactly how to do that. And kudos to Barry for setting this up, easy to use UI. So it's easy even for non-technical people to sign this. And essentially it's meant to be something we can use as a sort of to spreading knowledge and cultural norms and be a kind of tool for decentralized decision making and something we can point to. So we can point to these concepts and say why we think things are important, why certain things are wrong. Next slide. And as an application of this, we have this wall of shame document. And these were things that we intuitively felt were wrong, but then sort of we worked both sort of bottom up with these things and then top down with the principles in a way. And these are the top 10 issues we have identified. And you can read more in detail on that link. And this is one of our core OKRs addressing all of these for as many as possible. And there's some reactions just to sort of see give people understanding of how people react in the community. So one was around that we have status requires internet work. And this is something that it was something people didn't imagine was possible. So that's a form of education that we're performing just by being transparent about these things. And that sort of inculcating shared values is the best form of governance, something that's kind of a general theme in the Ethereum community as a whole when it comes to governance and so on. And we also inspired other people in the space to set up, like we see you put here. So I encourage you to take these principles and see how you can apply them, and write about how you think about them and so on, because it's important to remember that these are sort of principles that it's the sort of the cultural consensus that we stand behind, and it's sort of not from any individual, but it's us as a group and sort of what status stands for according to the sort of consensus we reached. So that's it for now. So yeah, please check out and sign those.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Oscar. It's really great to see everyone really pitching in and getting involved in this. So as Oscar said, we really encourage everyone to go ahead and sign that. So thank you. Now on to core OKRs. Rachel, are you on? Do you want to give a quick update on this? I know we spoke about these in the last town hall, but if you want to give a quick update on the objectives.
I don't really have an update to give here. I'm sorry. I think we can save it for the next town hall, unless
No problem.
No, I think we can skip this one.
Yeah, let's skip this one.
Yeah. Oh, do we have different slide decks? Okay, whatever.
Potentially. So here, there's some non-technical updates. We can move into that. Steph, do you want to give an update on the new contributors?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Johnny. And hi, everyone. So since last time, we have welcomed 5 new core contributors. So Corey Patton started working in security. We have Graeme in product, Jingo for community, George as a closure developer, and last but not least, just today, Guy Luis joined us as a product manager for the Hardwallet. The talent team has been really busy, as we all know, and we're also incredibly thankful to them and to the amazing job they do all the time. Currently, we still have 20 open roles, and Barbara, Harry, and Jonathan have started working to find some sort of prioritization criteria. So there is, right now I have linked it here in the slide. There's an order of priority sheet that you can have a look at, and there is a discuss thread also linked which explain a little bit better what the challenges are. And I encourage everyone to go have a look, and most of all to keep sharing our open roles, especially throughout the community, with your friends, with the people you know that will fit in as personalities, not only just as a skill set, as we really need to get more and more of community contributors getting into status. And that will be it for talent. If you can change the slide, thank you. From our side, we've been very busy. Everyone's been very busy in our team as well. The principles, thank you so much, Oscar, for reading through them, encouraging everyone to sign again. One thing that came up out of that also for us is that the part of how do we really have those principles informing and influencing everything that we do, the guidelines, the norms, the way that people office is working, the way that we communicate with others. So we started a little project to where we list the principles and we all explain what they mean for us. As soon as this takes a little bit more of an articulate shape, it's going to be shared in a discuss post and with everyone else. But it's really important, I feel, that for every function, we keep them top of mind at all times. Other things that we started working on as a result of our recent meetup in Zurich, they're all linked on Discuss anyway. We are working on Project Flatten and alternatives for having any sort of hierarchy in the organization. We have several ideas about learning and development, and especially how to get everyone onboarded much faster in specific crypto matters, and also how to get faster onboarded on books, on philosophy, and everything that informs what we do. And then Carrie and Erin started a contributor experience project. They had a kickoff call last week, asking everyone what are the things you would change about status, what are you not too happy with. We're also wanting to change the trial period. There is a proposal that Carrie posted and discussed last week about having people up helping out more on the collection of feedback, asking different questions, so evolving also that part of the way that we work together. And last but absolutely not least, we're moving all our material to a new handbook. We're moving out of the Google site to go into Ghost. There's going to be, like as of this week, as soon as it's completely done, we're going to send that to all our prospective hires or new hires instead of the old one. Looks way better. It's open source, it's on Ghost, and I know that Michael shortly will explain more about all that. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Steph.
You're welcome.
All right. Some exciting progress made on Status Studio. Actually, are you around?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Super. So very quickly, since the last time that we spoke, the progress made in the 2 weeks so far, one of the biggest things that we are looking to do in the next coming months is to hire some of the key roles, some of the key roles that we need on Status Studio, 2 of them being a senior UX UI designer and a front-end developer. So what we've done so far is drafted the job descriptions for those roles, and this week we should be creating a challenge to hire them along with the design team, Andrea, and a few others, as well as Barbara. And so we should be posting that. So huge, Hester, et cetera. And we should be posting that job description this week. So if anyone in the system at Status, or, if you know someone who's willing to sort of freelance as well as join us full time and fits this profile, please let us know and send in your referrals. The job descriptions are on the team drive in the job descriptions folder. The second piece where we pushed quite a bit this week was to outline a draft of the content framework on Status Studio. So essentially, what are the various educational and sort of help / tutorial / installation or how-to docs that will be available on Status Studio's platform. And then we also drafted a suggested model for how this content can be updated on an ongoing basis in a decentralized way and in a community-driven way. And then laid out if there are going to be courses on Studio, what does that course outline look like? So that document is a draft, as I mentioned, and it's available on that link there on the right-hand side, the first bullet point on the right-hand side column. If you want to take a look and provide comments and feedback, that would be fantastic. Obviously the Studio strategy document has been drafted and feedback to it has been collected and is incorporated at this point. But of course, it's a living, breathing document. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, please take a look at it there as well. And then, we are starting to collaborate across Studio, Embark, and Incubate, as there are quite a few interdependencies and a really good sort of user experience that we can create through those 3 verticals here at Status. So that's the update on Studio. And going forward, we will continue to refine the MVP outline of the product platform itself, lay that out in much more detail and technical terms, including fleshing out and incorporating inputs into the content piece that is currently a draft. We will continue to hire and source for the team and begin thinking about light branding and messaging in time for a light sort of press release and marketing. And we'll go from there. That's all I have.
Great. Thanks so much, actually. Yeah, it's really exciting to see this all come together. Next, I'll give a quick update on the marketing efforts along with Kim. First, I just want to shout out the Nimbus team. We had some great coverage and a great community response to the Nim and Nimbus announcements we made over the past couple weeks. So yeah, we've partnered with Andreas and Dominic of the Nim team. And the impressions and engagements on this on social was fantastic, along with some of the coverage we got in media, which I'll go over shortly. The introduction to Nimbus, so actually announcing the research project and the team, the core contributors working on that. Shout out to the entire team. Seriously, great effort, and thanks to everyone for pitching in on the comms that went out. And then once again, a great response from the community. Everyone, was really excited to hear about the work. And then, Vitalik retweeted us and that actually pushed our reach even more. But once again, it's really just great to see the response from the community on this work. And here is just a short list of some of the press coverage we've gotten. And it's still trickling in. We're on many publications. The team did really well to just align a proper comms and PR strategy around this announcement. So it's great to see the coverage we're getting. And then ETHIndia was this weekend. Kim, do you want to give a quick update on this?
Sure, yeah. ETHIndia event went really well. Sean, I believe, is traveling back from India, so he's not on the call. But this was the first time, I think, that we had sort of a roving community reporter, one of our community members in India, Prableen, and he did an amazing job. He was out there talking to people about status. He was pushing that they complete sort of the Embark exercise before they got any kind of swag. He was just really phenomenal and shared a lot of great photos and content. And also, I think this really we did do sort of an Embark challenge as part of the hackathon. And I think the Embark numbers show that worked out pretty well. And I think the India beta app installs were also spiked pretty high, I think, the few days prior to the event and during the event. So that was all great to see. They were super engaged. Andy, of course, was the rock star of the event, but I think Sean and Prableen kind of, made their rounds in the community and did an amazing job.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that Sean and Andy aren't available because it's always nice to hear how the event goes and how the community's interacting at these types of events. So hopefully we get an update from those guys next week. And then more on events. I mean, events is becoming an increasingly important, piece for us. Jared was in London this week at the ENS Hackathon. Always great to work with those guys. Makoto and team were fantastic. So more on that to come this week. We'll be in Berlin the week leading up to ETH Berlin. There's a number of events going on there. We're doing a little demo with Gollum and Raiden team, and there's also a security meetup, which some of our team will be at. And then obviously we'll be at ETH Berlin, a lot of really cool stuff happening there. Similar to ETHIndia, we'll be integrating, status into the event itself as much as possible. So that's great. Also, Blockchain MX, Eduardo and Richard will be in Mexico City this week, giving a demo on Embark and status and just really doing great things with the community down there. So great job, guys. Also, once again, we'll be at DevCon 4. A lot of exciting things happening there. I mean, we still got some time to plan that out, but stay tuned for more information. I think Johnny's got a spreadsheet for people who need to sign up. We're still working on tickets for that. So more information on that, guys, patience. Sorry for the delay. And then the status hackathon. We're making some great progress, some great announcements. Once again, it is going to be in Prague the weekend before DevCon, October 26th to 28th. And then we just announced Amizago as one of our sponsors. So really excited to have them on board. It's always great to work with them. Once again, we announced our partnership with them a few weeks ago. And it's really great just to work with them as closely as we can. And then as part of their sponsorship, they'll have a bounty track. So hopefully we see some interesting projects with their product in mind. So really excited and really happy to have them on board. And then here's just a quick channel report. Kim, do you want to give an update on this?
Yeah, sure. So we actually saw kind of a troubling trend over the last 2 weeks. Our engagements were up very slightly over the last 2 weeks, but our total impressions were down fairly significantly. And Sean, we've been digging into sort of why this happened, and it could be a number of different things: tweeting at the wrong time, not optimizing for hashtags, too many tweets being pushed out too close together, and so we kind of lose our audience. So we're definitely going to strive to get those total impressions back up where they need to be. One of the there were a few things that actually towards the latter part of this last week that kind of helped engagements and impressions was obviously the Nim Announce keeps on giving, ENS event, and then ETHIndia. And just wanted to call out that ETHIndia, this was, I think, that one of the first times that we've had a really kind of structured content plan going into an event. We had a contractor on board, Blockchain Islander. Some of you may have seen him in some of the channels. He put together a really well thought out strategy around going into ETHIndia. And I put it in the appendix in case anyone is curious, but we compared the numbers, our Twitter stats from ETHIndia to ETH Berlin, to ETH Denver and Buenos Aires, I believe. And you can see that it really just knocked it out of the park for ETHIndia. So that was great to see. But yeah, impressions is something that we need to definitely focus on over the next 2 weeks.
Great. Thanks for that update, Kim. And then the advocacy program, Sean is not on at the moment. I think he is traveling back from India, but this is well underway. Kim, do you have an update on this?
I do. Yeah, he gave me some notes. So the advocacy program is something he's been working with Ali on some naming options. And so I think he just really wanted me to stress that this is something that we want our community members to sort of adopt when they reference themselves. So it could be something as simple as State of Us, which a lot of people have already adopted and are using in social media. And then, of course, like Ali has a long list of things that Sean is going to share and discuss. He'll put that up after Town Hall, I guess probably once he gets back home. But he just wanted me to stress that this is essentially a community platform. It's meant to move people towards advocacy, but it is also a space for our already existing ambassadors, and then also space for content creators who want to create content through us. So again, Sean will be posting a Discuss article that will go up after Town Hall with a link to, I think, the doc with some potential names that he and Ali have been kicking around. And then I think ultimately he'd like to kind of whittle that down to a handful of nuggets that get shared out with the community and let the community have input, vote, and even possibly suggest some alternatives.
Great. Thanks so much, Kim. And once again, it's great to see this come to life as well. I'm excited to get this out there. Our.status.im. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
So aside from amplifying voices and distributing our content that happens inside of the organization, a big reason for our status is for us to be data portable and to iterate forward into a decentralized future. So we had a big thing happen this week that Aragon announced that they moved over to Ghost. And there's a post there that's linked in the slide. You can read that. And that led to an interview with Jared. There's a quote from Jared here about us being on a high level, trying to regain our independence from centralized platform plays, which makes a lot of sense when we realize that a centralized platform can pull the rug from beneath our feet at any moment. Let's think about Alex Jones here for a moment, even though we may differ with him. It is censorship. So it's hard to appreciate until that happens to you. And so we're working towards a transition to a decentralized publishing platform, which guarantees that our content will be around for multiple decades. So if you can move on to the next slide, Johnny, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this. So our stats over the last 14 days, we had 44 posts. Thanks, everybody. And of course, the 2 Nimbus announcements were the highest there with 3,700 and 1,546 views. You can see the 2 spikes there to the right. The Vitalik post obviously just made a nice little peak mountain up there, the second post. What's interesting is that the majority of the people who came to the blog are from the States and the United Kingdom. You see China down there, right down at the bottom. And then you see also what followed up in the bottom right-hand corner where people were looking. We have really, really good numbers about people staying on the site and looking into other things. What's interesting is if you look down at the bottom, you see tag desktop. That's pretty much an empty tag that I had created that was to be ready for when desktop wants to start talking about themselves. People are interested in mobile and desktop, so it'd be really, really great if those 2 teams could start posting regular updates about what's going on. I'd like to see that. That would be really cool. And of course, Jared's content, people spent the time reading that. The engagement on the page is basically 10 minutes is the average for people who came from our page and then looked into other content. So we have 31 contributors. 4 of them are from the community, so those are non-core contributors that have been starting. I'd like to fold this into the advocacy program, so that goes on to my Q3 goals for status. I'd like to talk a little bit about how I see the next time. Adding on to what PeopleOps is doing in terms of defining what they're doing in terms of our principles. Look over the next week to also see how it is that I see that Ghost fits in with all of our principles. I think that'll be a really good idea for each of the teams and each of the products we have to take a serious look at that and get the language down in the same short form about how it is, what it is that each of us is doing is a manifestation of those principles. Also hope to get the Medium archive migrated over so we have all of that content also on our status. But the major thing that needs to happen is that we're just building content right now really organically, and so there needs to be a design integration for the web refresh. So I'm looking forward to working with the design team on that. And what I'd like to see happen is that since Ghost is open source, that we develop a status theme that's then available for people to download on Ghost. So it's just called Status. It's a free theme. It's open source. And if we can ongoingly update that, that would be really great. And then I'd like to implement QR codes for tags on the site to drive discussion to status. So I had done a Discuss implementation for the status blog, and then I thought that we were going to enter into all kinds of potential spam or moderation issues. And so got me to thinking, after having done the QR code tag for CryptoLife and for ETHIndia, looking at those numbers, how those responses were, that why don't we just drive people from the blog directly into status? So I'd like to see that really implemented. Looking forward to Ned coming back. If he has a visual identity that's different from QR codes, there's some things that have been discussed that could be a really, really exciting part of our brand identity. And so, of course, we want to make the blog ENS compliant. So we have now the State of Us ETH address, and it would be really cool if we were looking forwards to having a username where people have a blog that's integrated with the application and integrated with this when we are IPFS compliant or Swarm, whatever it is. So that would be a really good thing to see happening. So there's been a lot of conversations with PeopleOps about how it is that we can encourage people to get on the blog. So look for something coming out over Bamboo HR, which is an invitation to join the blog. Rajani is an administrator of the blog, should be able to set you up with an account. And so also when new people are coming on, they'll automatically be getting an invite to come in and set up with Ghost. What's really important is there's a link both to the PeopleOps page, team page, which is then a list of the how to work with me concept. So when I first came into the organization, I saw this and I thought it was a really great thing. And we've talked about this would be a really great first post for people to do, which is the 5 or 6 questions, a little bit of biographical information. So you want to see how it is that we perceive that working. It would be really great if that was integrated as part of Ghost, so that there's a list of team members and everybody has their biography, and we also tell each other how do we work with each other. Upcoming is also to do a podcast integration. We have a huge amount of content, so there's another URL for that, and it'd be really awesome to prepare for live peer for us to have this stuff on as well on the Ghost blog. Again, integrating the community contributors with the advocacy program. And the final point, which is important, is dog fooding. So I kind of see our core contributors using this platform as a way for us to drag ourselves into having a blog platform for the decentralized future. I mean, we'd like to be the WordPress or the Medium of the future. If we're going to take on governments and currency, we can also take on publishing. So I really encourage you to use the platform and give feedback, because essentially in the end, we're going to need a blogging platform for our users as well. Thanks, Johnny.
Great. Thanks, Michael. And once again, it's really great to see this come to life. And it's nice that we kind of at the forefront of this. Aragon released theirs last week, and I'm sure we'll see some more follow us, which is exciting. Quick update on Status Incubate. I don't know if Ben is around, so I can give a quick update on this. Ben, are you here? All right, cool. Well, we announced we are working with Pixura, which is really, really exciting. They are the latest Incubate, and we're excited to kick off work with them. Say, Kim, do you have more information on them? I know you're working closely, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of twofold. There's Pixora, which is sort of like the main brand, and that's what we're going to primarily be helping to drive awareness of is Pixora, and sort of the tools that they bring to the table. And then they also have a fairly established initiative launched that is basically a site for sort of brokering digital art. And that is called Super Rare. And so that has, I think, a decent number of followers. So it's really sort of about amplifying Super Rare and driving awareness about, crypto art and all the things that they curate on that site. But then really, I think, focusing on helping them kind of tell the story about what Pixora is, because I think a lot of people don't understand the difference. And it's hard to sort of, it's hard to explain at the moment. So that's one of the things we're working on. But yeah, we're really excited to work with them. It's a great bunch of guys.
Great. Yeah, once again, very, very excited to work with them. They're a great team. And then Ben will be announcing the next Incubate in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So that's exciting. Stay tuned for more information on that. And from core contributors, we're looking for volunteers to help out. If you want to get involved with this, please, you can message Kim or Ben or myself, and we can get you involved. And I know the team is actively hiring. They're looking for a program manager, a marketing manager, designer, a research analyst, and an engineer as well. So if you know anyone who wants to be a part of an awesome incubator, let us know. Great. Now, UXR, Andre, are you on? Patrick? Anyone?
Yeah, we both are.
Okay, great.
I guess we'll start with Patrick's since there's
cool.
The UXR update goes first. Oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, just wanted to briefly mention that we're working on the big website update project. This is a brief summary of what's included. Besides from the main website update, we're updating all the inner pages, bringing together all the status projects under one big umbrella, and the documents website. And as it has just been mentioned that our.status.im also needs to be here as a part of this big project. So we're gonna be including that as well. The next slide, please. This is a sneak peek on the current progress regarding the main website update. So stay tuned, and we're gonna be sharing more updates pretty soon. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Andre, and definitely kudos to you for jumping in and helping us out with this. I know everyone's busy, but appreciate your time on this one.
Hey, so I just want to give a quick update on some UXR work that's going on in addition to there's some ongoing work for our app audience study where we're trying to survey people in specific locations such as Iran and UK. We floated this idea last week of creating something called Status Experience Day. And the idea is simple. We just want to ask core contributors and also people from the community to participate in a single questionnaire that we'd like to set up this weekend. And the idea is that we have people from all over try and fill out the questionnaire and download and use the app. And so we would like to see if people who have never used the app before can actually do a couple of basic tasks like create an account, connect and chat with someone from Status, and maybe ask for some ETH or S&T, and then finally open and use a DApp to transact. So again, super simple, shouldn't take more than 20 minutes or so. And we'll remind people again later towards the end of the week that this is sort of an activity that we'd like people to take part in over the weekend. And we're really mainly doing it to see kind of what type of responses we can get from people who are not necessarily working on Status every day, but are part of our general sphere of influence. We want to expand basically the audience and collect qualitative insights at scale. And this we hope will help us to build empathy for where the app, kind of the state of the app, where it sits right now. So stay tuned for more. If you go on to the next slide, Johnny. There's actually the link to the questionnaire is available now. So if you'd like to get started early, you can actually just go to this link and ask someone who hasn't downloaded Status before to download and start using it. Or you can go through if you're sort of one-on-one with someone and you want to watch them go through downloading and using the app. You can use the questionnaire as a guide for your self-service study in person. So stay tuned for more.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Patrick. Moving on to Core Swarms. Rachel, are you around?
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
So we pushed not one, but two updates over the past couple of weeks. The first, version 0.9.24, patched a security vulnerability related to the browser. And there will be a post-mortem post on the blog with more detail about the vulnerability and what happened in the next few weeks. The second version 0.9.25 was released just last week, and it added a few fixes to support the use of Status at ETHIndia this past weekend. Those included a special token being added to testnet, a change to the mail servers used on Incubate testnet, and a fix to our web view package so that Android users can upload image files in the browser. And those changes were primarily in support of people at the event being able to complete tasks on the Bounties network. So I'm looking forward to debriefing with their team on how the event went for them. In any case, it's really great that we had a test run with ETHIndia because ETH Berlin is coming up in early September. And not only will that be a bigger event with more people, but it will also rely exclusively on DApps for everything in context of the event. So registration, live streaming, chat, you name it. We obviously think that's fantastic, but we've got some testing to do just to prepare for it, especially with all the DApps in play that we want to have well supported in Status. But based on the feedback that we've heard from ETHIndia so far, we're really, really excited to see even more people using Status concurrently, not just to chat, but also to engage with the event. And we're also planning to have a full release next week, so keep an eye out for that too.
Cool. Yes, this is me. So follow up on the core dev meeting. We had our first core dev meeting last week. Unfortunately, it wasn't live streamed due to technical difficulties, but the audio's been recorded, so it's going to be uploaded. And you can see the notes there. And essentially, just a recap, it's sort of cross-team coordination. And I think it was kind of interesting to see because we are close to, or maybe around 100 core contributors right now. And there's lots of people who don't normally talk to each other. So it was kind of interesting to see people being able to give inputs, maybe from the contract side or security or research point of view, and just having people from desktop talking to people working on chat protocol or whatever. So looking forward to the next call that will be on Monday. Hopefully it will be live streamed this time. And yeah, I mean, if you want to participate, just ping me or join core dev meetings and you can add stuff to the agenda. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Oscar. And we'll get that recording up today. So excited to get that out there. And there are, I think, some legacy slides in here. So I'll jump ahead into the infra and tooling. Someone wants to speak to these slides?
I believe if you go to the next one, it should be Jacob. Yep.
Yeah. Hi. So this past 2 weeks, we've been doing a lot of work with desktop builds. There's been quite a bit of an overhaul of the Jenkins setup for desktop, and now we have nightly builds for the desktop app for both for macOS and Linux platforms on the nightly page alongside the mobile apps, which is pretty cool. In other news, we're close to getting a full CI setup for Status D, which is the Geth fork done by Status in our cluster. That's alongside with the work done in Status Go, we will now be able to easily test different versions of Status D, which is great. There's also been a lot of changes with our Jenkins setup. The Linux slave hosts are almost ready to be completely replaced. So we now have a bigger host and properly monitored. And also the setup for them is fully automated, although that hasn't been done yet for the macOS hosts, which are much more tricky. In other things, we now have Rendezvous discovery set up on our staging fleet being tested, which might replace the old boot nodes and how they work. We also have a new discourse set up for our our.status.im blog, which is separate from discuss.status.im. We've created a new deployment of Chinese status.im web page in order to have continuous integration for that page, although that's not fully ready yet. And we also have a swarm node, a cluster of nodes, but it doesn't have a load balancer yet, but it's almost there. Swarm is an Ethereum-based storage solution. It's pretty cool. And also we now have an Ethereum fleet in Hong Kong, which is not yet available in the mobile app. We're just testing it, but that will probably come soon. That's about it.
Great, thanks so much. Adam, are you on?
Adam is traveling, I think.
Okay. Oscar, can you give an update? Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, this is about the sort of discoverable mail servers. Last few weeks, create an integration model between Sesgo and a smart contract storing these verified mail servers. And next up is integration with React. I believe this has been bumped down slightly in priority due to other things happening in the peer-to-peer team. But yeah, that's the latest on this one, I believe.
All right, thanks, Oscar.
Next one. And then, yeah, so peer-to-peer initiatives. So started doing weekly releases of Sesgo on GitHub, which helps with the sort of coordination with React and CentOS Desktop, with changelog and doc images and these kinds of things. And then also, that was Jacob briefly mentioned it, integration of new PS Discovery protocol called Rendezvous. And the idea is it will become a default protocol with fallback to Discovery version 5, and doing some large-scale testing and collecting metrics around there. And then also continuing work on sort of reputation systems and installation layer to improve the network integrity and security. And this is also something that will play into things like desktop mods and so on, but that's a sort of more long-term thing. I guess the thing also, just for people listening, the Rendezvous thing, we're trying to figure out sort of what the challenge is essentially that mobile nodes have slightly different requirements than other nodes. We're trying to find out if there's some hybrid approach or maybe there's some kind of standard we can push and so on. So yeah, but this is tightly sort of targeted towards one of the top OKRs, which is around discovering nodes very quickly and not having lots of bandwidth and these kinds of things. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much for the update, Oscar. And chat, Rachel, will you be speaking to these slides as well?
I can take it.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the last 2 weeks, there's been part of what's been happening is Eric's been working on ENS username resolution and working on an ABI spec implementation. If you move to the next slide, there's this swarm that's been started by Andrea to implement something which we know that we have to take care of, which is perfect-forward-secrecy. It's on our wall of shame. And the last couple of weeks, we've implemented double ratchet and X3DH. So the challenge here is that for X3DH, you need to have some way of sharing the initial keys, and but at least the logic is there right now. So in the future, we'll be working on different ways to get this set up to distribute the keys for each user, with the final goal of doing this on a decentralized storage such as Swarm. For the next weeks, we'll be pushing out development builds and doing a big part of this task, which is actually writing down specs that people can use going forward. That's it for the chat team.
Great. Thanks so much for the update. Now moving on to wallet and account. Ricardo, are you on the line? Can anyone give an update on the ENS usernames?
I can give a brief update.
Great.
Yeah, so these past 2 weeks, there was a couple of interesting things that got done. One was that we saw in testnet, we transferred the controller of the subdomain registry contract to a multi-sig wallet, and that's sort of our first experiment in sort of starting to decentralize the governance of these contracts, which, if you don't do, what's the point? So we successfully, as a group, and kudos to the working group, which was Rachel, Ricardo, Andy, Richard, who helped out with that. We successfully verified that that the multi-sig was able to control it, and just the whole process of how this might look going forward. So we've also deployed a new contract which takes advantage of which basically stores the Whisper public key in a more efficient manner, and will allow users to associate their status public key with an ENS domain, which is crucial for resolution inside the app. And there was also a lot of work in just being redone on the UI and getting it to feature complete. And actually, maybe about an hour after this call, there'll be a ENS call. So anyone who just wants to listen in or is certainly welcome to join and get a more detailed update.
Great. Thank you so much, Barry. Wallet improvements. Goran, are you on the line?
Yep. Hi there. Hi, everyone. As usual, wallet improvements news are focused on refactoring and bug fixing, but this time I'm going to actually delve into details around two very specific bugs, like a sort of PSA of sorts. We received complaints or bug reports from a number of users who saw their wallet portfolio values in fiat displayed as 0. Basically, the bug in this case was inability to access the prices service. So they did have crypto assets in their wallet. They just didn't have the fiat value. We are looking into the actual root cause, but in the immediately next release, we will publish the error report, just to let the user know what is wrong. So you do have all your assets. It's just the conversion to fiat. The other specific bug is something that also happened to a number of users. Because of too loose validation in account recovery, they would accidentally recover a different account with 0 balance, which is also scary. We are also working on improving the validation to prevent this from happening. So neither of the two cases actually contained any asset loss. It's just super scary, which is why I wanted to publicly announce it like this. Basically, in the future, in the immediate future, we are continuing with bug fixing, refactoring, and security, double checks, triple checks, and so on. One interesting thing worth mentioning is that we will also add DNS support to usernames in WalletSend, just like in the other parts of the app. So that's it from Wallet. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for the patience and all that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for the update, Goran. DApps and developers.
Yeah, that's me. So first, just to tie up loose ends from last week, the JavaScript API is documented on docs.status.im. Thank you for that, Andre. And the Web3 permission flow is now in testing. That'll require another design and copy once over, especially since it ties into this bigger picture conversation that we're starting to have about privacy policy and user rights across the whole platform. But we'd like to make that available to the developer community soon, and we'll be making an announcement on the blog about it when it's ready. And we'll plan on forcing the breaking change in alignment with MetaMask's target date of November 2nd. Exciting update on extensions. Julian gave a tech talk on Friday demoing the loading of a remote extension. So if you watch that, you can see how it might look to actually install an extension from the user perspective, in this case, using a QR code, and also how a remote extension could successfully be installed and added to the user's chat commands, which is super cool. So we're looking forward to eventually working with some other teams to validate some of that code design. Our team also spent a chunk of last week preparing for ETHIndia because on the DApp side, we needed to test the Bounties Network DApp more thoroughly, and we found that issue where Android users weren't able to upload files in the browser. So that was pretty critical for us to fix. Coming up, we will be focused on getting the Web3 update out there and also preparing for ETH Berlin, because again, we want to test all of those DApp integrations thoroughly and make sure that they're working properly and are ready for attendees. On that note, the file upload issue that we found last week was a limitation of our current WebView implementation, which, as I understand, comes from React Native, but is older and no longer updated by them. It's also the source of many of the browser bugs that we've dealt with over the past few months. So it's kind of a leaky bucket, and because it's also written in Java and Objective-C, it's costly for us on multiple levels. So we started toying with the idea of building out a new React Native WebView package, which is something that could be done in parallel with our ongoing work, but would probably require a mobile developer to build out. So if anybody has thoughts about that idea, we would love to hear it, because to our knowledge, there aren't any packages out there that solve all of our needs at production quality. On developer tools, Alex is back from vacation, so he'll resume work on the command line interface. Julian will be going on vacation starting this week. So Andre will finish up work on Web3 permissions and then move on to custom queries and events for extensions. And then as a team, we'll also begin planning for ENS resolving in the browser. That's it for me.
Great. Thanks so much for the update, Rachel. And then Embark, Yuri, are you on the line?
Okay.
Hey, Yuri.
I'm here. I was muted. Sorry about that. So updates this week. There was ETHIndia workshop on creating a decentralized Twitter with Embark, which was given by Andy. It was a resounding success. We had tons of engagement from that. We are also releasing this week the version 3.18, which contains some fixes that we needed to get Docker fully working. And afterwards, we can release a Docker image officially. We also completed the COD coverage. This was a huge effort, and we're really quite happy that this is done, and it opens the doors to a lot of new features that will be coming in future versions of Embark. And we are finishing up the changes in the pipeline so we can support custom Webpack configs, which is a very requested feature. And up next, we are releasing version 3.2 soon. It's currently in a QA phase, and after we're happy with the quality of the release, we will be releasing this new version. And finally, but not least, we are also continuing working on the documentation, improving it, and creating new content, such as the Embark bursts that was mentioning earlier. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Yuri. Yeah, it's exciting, and we're all ready for 3.2. Hardwallet, does someone have an update here? No. All right. I know, Michelle, I know you are the new PM on the team, so probably just getting up to speed, but maybe you can give an update on this, maybe even via blog or next week in 2 weeks on the following town hall. So excited for updates on that. So stay tuned. Desktop.
Is Max online maybe? All right, I think Vitaly is on vacation, and I don't know if anyone else is. I can take it. All right. Okay. So progress last 2 weeks. Nightly builds for macOS Linux are available. Jacob talked about this earlier. Some improved chat view performance and general sort of polishing around the continuous integration stuff and custom fonts. Goals for the next 2 weeks: fixing app crashes and messages and so on. And it's also been really awesome to see. So there's been you have the night list and so on. So I encourage people to check it out and download those and just give it a whirl, because now it's actually really easy to just get up and running, even if it's still rough around the edges. It would be great, still sort of being finalized, but it would be great if we could sort of start pushing more and more comms to Status Desktop, because that will force us to dog food really start using what we are pitching. I think that's it.
Great. Thanks, Oscar. And research. Jacek, are you on the line?
I'll be taking the call.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who was involved in the Nim announcement. We had such a great responses from the community, and the timing couldn't be better, because Nimbus just reached a state where we are passing 100% of the Ethereum test suite, finally. And we are also making progress on the blockchain sync. We are already successfully downloading blocks from the main chain after we have loaded the Genesis block in Nimbus. And the next step would be to start validating these blocks by executing them in the virtual machine. We expect to find still some issues here, because even though we are passing the entire test suite, we've seen that the test suite is not fully complete. We've identified issues in the past that were not included in the Ethereum test suites. Furthermore, we are making progress on the beacon chain. We are still focusing on the building blocks that kind of appear more stable in the specifications. And one example is the BOS signature schemes that will be powering the consensus in the Ethereum, in the beacon chain. We've made some progress on implementing that. And finally, Nimbus now has the first fully working JSON RPC calls. And our next milestone will be to support everything required for developing and executing smart contract code with Embark and Truffle while working with Nimbus under the hood. So for the next 2 weeks, we have to, after we make some further progress on the blockchain sync protocols, we'll start working on the light client protocols, and also work out how the sync should work in light clients. Of course, we'll keep working on the beacon chain. And one important update is that we'll probably need some collaboration with the infrastructure and test teams to start testing Nimbus on more platforms and hardware devices. It's time that we start testing on the actual phones when we plan to work in the future. So that's it for us.
Great. Thanks so much for the update. Yeah, and it's exciting to finally have this out there and to see the progress on a regular basis. So exciting times.
Okay, I think it's me. Hi. And you'll see we have a few quite good news. We finished the security review, thanks for the Sol's help. And we find a few issues related to security, but all of them are resolved now. All proposed changes are in the pull request and to the Ethereum code base. And we are starting the integration swarm of you'll see into the status, and this is the goal for the next 2 weeks. That's all.
Great. Thanks so much for the update there. And now finally, is there any Q&A, anything from YouTube, Hutch? Any questions from the team? All right, doesn't look like there's anything. But before we jump off, I just want to encourage everyone to sign the principles. It's really important that we all do this, and so please get involved. If you have questions, ping in the Slack channel. But I think yeah, that's it. So thanks everyone, and appreciate the time, and excited to have Andy and Bill back for our next town hall. They run a very smooth town hall. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks, Johnny.
Johnny.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, Johnny. That was awesome.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, great job.